And so for some of us, getting up today, it could be the difference between divorce and mending a relationship. It could be the difference between struggling with an ongoing addiction and walking in freedom. Getting up for some of us could be the difference between the peer pressure of never doing the things you swore you said you'd never do. And here's the pivotal point of our story. Because unless the story reads, so he got up, or so she got up, nothing really changes. And isn't that what we're all longing for? That every one of us needs change. We want real, lasting change in our life, the kind that only God can bring. And the reality is that many of us, we sit between honesty and action. Let's be real, we wallow in the and we never experience the aha. Let me just tell you, the Father, I think, was the motivating factor to begin with for this immediate action that we see in the Son. The Father inspired the Son to get up. And we think that we can, a lot of times we think we can just do this on our own. We can get enough gumption, right? We think we can just muster up enough strength and we can, tighten the proverbial bootstraps and pull ourselves up. We can do this. But the hard, cold truth is that the Father is the only motivating and power in our lives need and have to draw upon in order for change, for good and to experience the aha that we want to experience. And there's a word repeated 4 times in this section of the story. In verse 17, it says, when he comes to his senses, when he came to himself, that's the sudden awakening, he says, in his brutal honesty, how many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants. So he got up and went to his father. And we see the Father so clearly. And you see that the Father clearly enabled him to get up past his sin, to get up out of the pig pen. And he saw his Father's compassion. It was his Father's provision. It was his Father's love that motivated him to get up. It was his Father's generosity. It was his Father's goodness that motivated him to arise out of that mud, to look beyond himself, to look beyond the mud, to beyond the stench, beyond the pain, to see the other side of the pig pen. I believe his Father was the motivation. And just for us, it's the same way. Romans 2 verse 4 says, or do you show contempt? Do you show contempt for the riches of his kindness, forbearance and patience, not realizing that God's kindness is intended to lead you to repentance? It's God's kindness that leads us to repentance. It's God's kindness that leads you back to him. It's to his patience. It's his tolerance for us, his forbearance. Friend, you need to just dwell on the Father's love today.